hi, we're here back at the Veg Group's live from IMEX, and we are so lucky to have a Veg partner with us, Vedha.
Yep.
I got it. From Zuddl. And for those of you that don't know Zuddl, I really want Vedha to tell you a little bit about the company, its origins, and how things started for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So we started Zuddl 2.5 years ago, right at the start of the pandemic. So my co-founder, Bharat, before Zuddl, he had an event agency that he'd been running for 7 years, working on really large conferences with companies like Microsoft, Deloitte, and so on. And we had been talking about a bunch of different ideas before Zuddl. Like, I graduated from MIT, worked in the tech space, and we had been bouncing ideas off of each other of things to work on. And we'd been talking about a bunch of problems that he'd been facing running these really large scale conferences. And when the pandemic hit, it was kind of, we'd just been mulling on ideas, and that was kind of the catalyst for us to say, let's drop everything and work on what we had in mind right now. And so, yeah, that's how Zuddl started, and here we are 2.5 years later.
And 2.5 years later, you are a full service virtual and hybrid and
webinars, virtual events, hybrid events, in-person events, the whole suite of solutions for that.
So I can imagine during the pandemic you were busier than you all knew.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
What to do with. And you're also, you're based in India.
Yeah, we have a team in the US and in India as well, yeah. But a lot of our tech team is based out of India.
And so you're here at IMEX.
Yep.
What's your reason for being at this show? Is it to reach the destinations
No, yeah. For us, it's really about meeting people who are thinking about how their event strategies are looking like for the next year and 2 years, and really talking to as many people as we can in a condensed period of time, and really learning from what they're looking for, what are their priorities, what are their plans for the next year, and just really picking up on all of those signals. We're an early stage company, small, we're able to move fast, and for us it's so important to have as many opportunities as possible to talk to our end customers.
And so what are you hearing? Are they know they have to go hybrid in some form or another?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say, obviously 2 years of COVID was all crazy virtual. People didn't really have an option, and I would say especially the first year of COVID was a lot of just give me something, I'm really stressed out, I had all of these plans and I don't know what to do. The second year of COVID, I think people were starting to think a lot more long-term, just because it wasn't clear, how long was this gonna last? And then now when people are thinking about events, there was a period of a few months where it was, we're gonna go back all in person. And a lot of people tried that, and except for some of the really large conferences, what people are seeing is 40 to 60% less attendance than
Travel
before
budget,
COVID.
Sustainability, there's a million reasons
and
not to go to a conference.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think even just people's behavior has changed a lot. So even when organizers want to go all in on in-person, a lot of times attendees aren't showing up. Speakers don't want to travel as much for speaking opportunities as they were before. And so all of that dynamics I think plays a little bit into it as well. And even with a lot of companies doing working remotely, there's a lot of events that people were doing 3-4 hour evening events. Where if I'm at the office, it's easy. Let me go to work, swing by this event, and then I'll come back home. But now it's a lot of people are at home, going into work maybe 2 days a week, or maybe not going into work at all. And so the incentive structure has changed. It's not, hey, I'm already outside and I need to go somewhere else. It's okay, give me a good reason to leave what I'm doing right now.
And we've learned about timing. Nobody wants to sit at a 3-day virtual event.
Yeah, absolutely.
I did an early Zuddl event with you, and actually it was pretty flawlessly great. I mean, we had a green room, we were prepped, but I think that during the pandemic, people would sit for a 2-day event. Now they barely sit for a 2-minute event.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And just there's so many events out there right now, so I think it's, when you're doing an in-person event, people already made that initial commitment to show up, be there in person for that. With virtual, you're not just competing with other virtual events, you're competing with all of the internet. Maybe people are on Facebook, they're on Netflix, they're doing whatever it is that they're doing. So really, how do you grab people's attention?
Oh, yeah.
So just the content is so much of a part of it. But what's been really interesting is we've seen people, like a lot of our customers, really experimenting with a lot of different event formats. Like even if it's like day-long conferences, doing it in blocks where it's like a morning block of
go have your lunch now.
Yeah, go have your lunch, and it's not just like an hour lunch break. It's like, oh, take a couple of hours off. We'll do like 3 hours in the morning or like 2-3 hours in the afternoon.
And the analytics of them, that in the early days, if you were just logged on, you were counted as there.
Oh, yeah.
You could have been in the bathroom.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
could have been just gone.
Yeah, absolutely.
The event was over 4 days ago, but you're still
there.
logged in.
Yeah.
So I think you've worked hard on those analytics also. Who's engaged,
Yeah, absolutely.
right?
Yeah, who's engaged, and just providing more interaction opportunities so that you can see who's engaged. Because if it's just a stream and just people are watching a stream, there's not that much that besides, okay, the video played until this point. So just providing more opportunities for those micro interactions, and just thinking about different ways of interaction is really, really important, just because a lot of times it's like, oh yes, attendees have the opportunity to like raise their hand and join via video, but that's not what everyone wants to do. So having different levels where, okay, some people who kind of are, want to take a little bit more of a passive experience, like they can engage in a way that feels comfortable for them, but just creating those opportunities, whether it's like polls, emojis, whatever it is,
so you
to
work
interact.
really hard with your customers. You don't leave them, say, here's Zuddl, have fun.
Oh, absolutely not. Yeah, we know, especially the last couple of years, people have had so much to figure out. We really want to be there with people to help them figure it out as much as they can. And
yeah, no, even your speakers. Speakers now, it's one of the questions organizers ask. Are you video savvy?
Yeah.
It's just one more skill.
Yeah, absolutely.
That will not disappear now that the pandemic's over. And live events too, you better know how to use AI, how to do badging, how to get real data.
Yeah.
Serendipity is just not enough anymore.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, let's say we're here a year from now. Mm-hmm. What do you think Zuddl's going to concentrate on this year?
Yeah, I think a lot of the last couple of years for us has been focused on like what happens during an event. And what we're seeing now is people are being more strategic or thinking more long term about what is that mix of virtual, in person, what do I want out of my event. So much of it is also about what happens before an event and what happens after an event, right? Like, how are you going to take this content and use it? How are you going to follow up with or engage with the people that you met at this event? How are you going to understand who and what attendee behavior relates to your end goals and outcomes? And then even before an event, driving attendance and registration and all of that. So we're really focusing on becoming that like full life cycle suite where we don't solve just for what's happening in the event. Of course, that's what we've been doing for the last few years. That's been our bread and butter. But we want to make sure that we're helping you really get those outcomes out of the event as well.
You are so right. I think we've all realized that event is part of a much larger
strategy.
And I think that's what we took away from the pandemic. So you're here at the show at IMEX. Zuddl's in booth. What's your booth number?
Oh, I see something. Oh man, I don't know the route.
Seriously, like I said, I've used the platform. I enjoy the platform. If you're here at the show or if you're watching us on YouTube, check out Zuddl. And Vedha, thank you so very much.
Yeah, thank you so much. This has been a great conversation.
Yeah, we did.